All rise. Judge Michael Golding presiding, and their honorable judges from the various divisions of local courts.
Good afternoon. Please be seated. On behalf of the Toledo Bar Association, the Lucas County Bar Association, the Thurgood Marshall Bar Association, and the Toledo Women's Bar Association, welcome to the 85th Annual Joint Memorial Service commemorating those members of the local bar and bench who have died in the year since our last service. This year we honor 24 colleagues of our honorable profession who have each, in his or her own way, served not only the interests of their individual clients, but who have also served our community at large. The special session of court is a time-honored tradition which perpetuates the Toledo way of practice. At this time, I would invite Reverend Tim Barger of the First Unitarian Church to provide the invocation.
Hello all. I'm grateful for the invitation to give the invocation at today's memorial service. I'm Reverend Tim Barger, the senior minister at First Unitarian Church of Toledo, and some of you might know me as TK, my byline as a writer. We Toledo Unitarians have an open and welcoming congregation, and we even have attorneys in our membership. I should say that though I was asked to give the invocation because I am a Unitarian Universalist minister, and we're inclusive of many faiths, including those who choose no faith. What you don't know is that I also have legal experience. No, not as a defendant, but that might be expected. But I was a legal editor for 3 years with Butterworth Legal Publishers. And before that, I worked for the Texas Legislative Council for 9 years. But the way I put it is, after those positions, I fled the law. On a serious note, we have gathered to remember your fellow members of the Toledo Bar who have died over the past year. We honor their service and we cherish the lives they lived. Please join me in meditation, contemplation, prayer, however you turn both inward and outward, as the spiritual might be characterized. Remember your colleagues. Let's take 1 minute, which will feel too long for some, too brief for others, but I hope it's a good medium, to experience silence while we think of those members of the bar who are no longer physically among us. Think that they, like you and me, like all of us, had joys and sorrows, celebrations and concerns, good times and bad, ecstasy and grief. We can grieve them, and you probably know that grief has no timeline. Some might think they're over it, and then it revisits. Others might even feel that they never grieved, but the grief and love is still there. For any time you think of ones we have lost, they are still with us. With this moment we all will share, hearing all the sounds that drift in, I hope being aware of all the senses we have as human beings. We invoke an atmosphere of spirituality, and we prepare to join together as members of the legal profession, along with others here, including family, other loved ones, and non-bar co-workers who work close with these people. Once again, to give a farewell to those no longer among us. We'll have 1 minute of solemn grace. Blessed be.
Your Honor, we shall now proceed with the roll.
As is always the case, since this service is conducted as a court proceeding during business hours, some attendees will need to come and go during these proceedings to attend to other business. The court has also been advised that today a number of attendees need to leave early in order to attend another memorial service elsewhere. This is all customary and to be expected. We only ask that when coming and going, attendees remain quiet and respectful of these proceedings. Before we call the roll of the deceased, I would recognize the judges in attendance at today's service. From the United States District Court, the Honorable James Knapp. From the United States Bankruptcy Court, the Honorable Marianne Whipple and the Honorable John Gustafson. From the 6th District Court of Appeals, the Honorable Christine Miley and the Honorable Charles Sulik. From the Lucas County Court of Common Pleas, General Division, the Honorable Eric Marks. From the Toledo Municipal Court, the Honorable James H. Anderson and the Honorable Nicole Corey. And we'd also recognize our retired judges in attendance this afternoon, the Honorable James D. Bates, the Honorable Arlene Singer, the Honorable Connie Zemmelman, the Honorable June Rose Galvin, and the Honorable Norman Zemmelman. And we would also recognize the Dean of the University of Toledo College of Law, Rebecca Zeitlow. Thank you, fellow judges, for your presence today. I would also like to recognize the leadership of our local bar associations in attendance. I know I saw Toledo Bar Association President Cindy Kirby, and there may be members of the other affiliate bar associations as well. Thank you for your service to our profession, one and all. Finally, I would like to recognize and thank the members of the Joint Memorial Committee whose dedication and efforts have made today's ceremony possible. Bonnie Rankin, Chair, Kristen E. Beach, Michael A. Bruno, the Honorable James G. Carr, John A. Coble, Rachel Flippo, M. Kathryn Garcia Feehan, Robert J. Gilmer Jr., Gordon H. Hirsch, William G. Meyer, Christopher F. Parker, Lisa Small, Michael Vassar, and Donna J. Williamson. Ms. Beach, Mr. Coble, and Mr. Meyer, please call the rolls of those deceased whom we honor today.
Daniel T. Spitler, born September 20th, 1939, passed away June 11th, 2023, admitted to the bar October 27th, 1965. Dan Spitler was born on September 20th, 1939, in Perrysburg, to Emmett V. Spitler and Grace McMahon Spitler. He married Linda Berger on April 19th, 1964, and she preceded him in death June 3rd, 2021. Dan was a 1957 graduate of Bowling Green High School. He attended the University of Arizona and obtained his bachelor's degree from The Ohio State University. Upon graduation, Dan entered the Ohio Northern University College of Law, earning his Juris Doctor degree in 1965. He was admitted to the Ohio Bar in 1965 and the U.S. Supreme Court in 1970. Dan joined his father in the practice of law with the firm that became known as Spitler and Spitler Law. Over the years, the firm evolved to Spitler Huffman LLP. Dan carried on the tradition of a family law practice, practicing with brother Bob and son Steve for many years before his retirement in 2019, closing out a legal career of more than 50 years. During his stellar legal career, Dan first served as the Bowling Green City prosecutor. Dan was then elected Wood County prosecuting attorney, the first Democrat to hold that position in years. Dan served as prosecutor from 1969 through 1976, and in addition to practicing in many of Ohio's and federal courts, Dan later enjoyed appointments as an acting judge in various jurisdictions, handling all variety of matters. His favorite task was when he was asked to officiate wedding ceremonies. Dan was instrumental in the formation and growth of the Northwestern Water and Sewer District, serving as its general counsel. His extensive courtroom and private law practice, along with his generous nature, resulted in his being a lifetime mentor to both younger and senior attorneys, staff, and clients of any nature or circumstance. He would help anyone who knocked on his door. Dan was a longtime member of the Ohio State Bar Association and Wood County Bar Association. He was also a member of the American Board of Trial Advocates. Dan's legal career was centered on representing clients of all walks of life, and he never turned down the chance to help someone. Dan was very proud of his work as a board member of ABLE, helping to provide legal services and fair treatment to those living in poverty. Dan was a member of the Bowling Green Country Club, Stone Ridge Golf Club, and Toledo Country Club. He enjoyed golfing and spending time at the family cottage on Catawba Island, where he spent his childhood summers. Dan and Linda enjoyed over 30 years of traveling to Puerto Vallarta, Mexico for the winter with many of their cherished friends. Law partner Rex Huffman said, "There was no one more fun than Dan Spitler. People gravitated to him." His brother Bob said he loved the practice of law, to reach out to both sides to try to reach a proper resolution. He liked litigation when he had a case that really needed to be won. He was a wonderful trial lawyer because he emoted honesty and deliberation. He was great to have as a mentor, his son Steve said. He readily conveyed wisdom gained through experience, such as there are about 3 sides to every story, treat people with respect, and have respect for tradition and the dignity of the court. Dan is survived by his children, Dr. Betsy, Stephen, and Tim, grandchildren Annie, Timothy, Julia, Mary, Sophie, and Sydney, brothers Jim, John, and Bob, as well as numerous nieces and nephews whom he adored. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Robert E. Witt, born June 20th, 1938, passed away July 22nd, 2023, admitted to the bar October 19th, 1966. Robert did his undergraduate work at the University of Toledo and earned a degree in chemical engineering. During that time, he was a member of the Sigma Phi Epsilon fraternity, and he kept in touch with many of his fraternity brothers over the years. He went on to the University of Toledo College of Law, where he earned his JD in 1966. Bob went on to practice patent law many years as a solo practitioner. Among his greatest achievements was winning a case involving embryo research on cattle, which later developed into embryo developments for humans. A lifelong learner, Bob returned to school in middle age to obtain a degree in biology. Bob's varied interests included community, organizing, sailing, gardening, and running. He believed that we should invest in planting trees so our communities could prosper. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. The Honorable Judson P. Spore Jr., born January 17th, 1929, passed away August 4th, 2023, admitted to the bar October 17th, 1962. Judge Spore was not a local Wood County attorney when he first ran for the office of Perrysburg Municipal Court Judge. He was known in adjacent counties, but not as a familiar trial attorney. On taking office, Judge quickly established the kind of judge that every lawyer and litigant would strive to emulate. He was fair, courteous to all who appeared in the Perrysburg court, and insisted that those who decided to plead guilty to a criminal charge were instructed on their rights, options, and the significance of their plea, even if that defendant was represented by legal counsel. Joe was respected by his staff, those in the clerk's office, police personnel, and everybody who met him, whether or not they had cases before him. The narrative writer was privileged to be appointed by Judge Spore as an acting judge in the Perrysburg Municipal Court for several years. Seeing how Judge performed the duties of the office was instructional, interesting, and oftentimes showed his delightful sense of humor. Judson Spore left a legacy that those who followed him in office and who practiced in his court will ever be grateful for knowing him. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee.
Clint McBee, born July 14th, 1942, died August 8th, 2023, admitted to the bar November 2nd, 1979. Clint was born in Louisville, Kentucky to Clint and Georgia McBee while his father was engaged in World War II. After the war, his family moved to Sylvania and later to Toledo, where Clint graduated from DeVilbiss High School. His mother firmly encouraged his visit to the Army Recruitment Office in 1960, where his fortuitous contact with the general enabled him to avoid a combat assignment to deploy to Vietnam, and became an MP, then an honor guard for President John F. Kennedy for the entirety of his enlistment, traveling with him wherever he went. That incidental recruitment contact enabled Clint to avoid the most dangerous place in the world for an 18-year-old to probably the safest place in the world. As a result of his service, Clint was awarded a Presidential Service Certificate, Presidential Service Badge, and Good Conduct Medal. On one occasion, when the Secret Service could not account for the president's whereabouts, Clint's helicopter dropped the president off at a hotel where Marilyn Monroe spent the evening. After completing the terms of his Army contract, he was honorably discharged, and in 1963 he became a Toledo police officer assigned to the Vice Squad. The many interesting details of that assignment should not be told at this august event, but one light-hearted exception was of interest to family and friends. Assigned by the department to determine if the movie Deep Throat was in violation of law, Clint found it prudent to sit through the movie 27 times at the Westwood Theater before deciding it violated community standards. It probably stopped at 27 because he had brought his wife with him, who interrupted his concentration constantly with feminine expletives and questions. 27 times, that's dedication. While working full-time as a police officer, he attended the University of Toledo on the GI Bill, first obtaining his BS with honors in 1975 and his JD in 1979. His dream was to join the Secret Service, but again, fate had another plan in store for Clint, as his father-in-law was ecstatic to bring Clint into his law practice after passing the bar, cementing Clint to a lifelong career in the practice for 22 years. Clint was one of 7 lawyers in the family. Adjusting to his new professional goals, Clint joined the Lucas County, Toledo, and Ohio State Bar Associations and was an active member of committees on the TBA. He participated in community matters as well as becoming a Sylvania Township zoning appeals judge. He and his wife, Linda Rose McBee, of 48 years, mutually enjoyed many trips to Florida and other exotic sites, and shared a love for animals, especially those in need of care, a loving home, and much more. All that being said about his professional community service, no story would be complete without speaking to his family relationships. While nature made him large, it was Clint's heart that was much larger for family and friends. He was the consummate family man and friend. A long-term marriage, 2 children and 2 stepchildren, 9 grandchildren and 10 great-grandchildren, an uncle to nephew and niece that he provided support when needed, unconditional love, and much more. His dedication to truth, the rule of law, to helping the underdog, pursuing robustly what life offers, his dedication to hard work and goal setting, and his sense of humor was his legacies to all. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted the committee. Harold A. Kelley, born January 16, 1925, died September 5, 2023, admitted to the bar May 10, 1982. Harold A. Kelley was born in Booth, Arkansas. He won an appointment to the U.S. Military Academy, and while there, met his beloved wife, Carolyn Ford, at a school dance. Harold graduated from University of Arkansas with a degree in civil engineering, earned his highest honors of summa cum laude. After graduation, he came to Toledo and joined Jones and Henry Engineers, where he worked as a consulting engineer for 34 years. He became a partner, served as its treasurer for many years, and completed his distinguished career there as its chairman and president. Harold was recognized as being in the forefront of using in-house computers to aid in designing engineering projects. Among numerous accolades, he was named Ohio Engineer of the Year in 1985 by the Ohio Society of Professional Engineers. In 1981, he earned his Juris Doctor at the University of Toledo College of Law while still working at Jones and Henry. He then practiced environmental law with Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick until his retirement. In addition to his professional achievements, Harold was devoted to his family, for whom he worked tirelessly. He often drove hundreds of miles in a day to be home for the family dinner. He wanted his children to become good citizens and spoke at the family dinners of his beliefs in the importance of education and personal integrity. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted the committee. Greg Dziegielewski, born July 1st, 1947, died October 21st, 2023, admitted to the bar November 7th, 1975. Greg Dziegielewski passed away peacefully at his home in Sun City West, Arizona. Greg was a graduate of the University of Toledo Engineering School in 1970 and the University of Toledo College of Law in 1975. Greg spent much of his legal career as the Director of Patent Law for Borg Warner at Auburn Hills, Michigan. He previously worked in the Patent Law Department for Owens Corning for 13 years. Greg also worked at Owens, Illinois as a mechanical engineer following his graduation from the University of Toledo. Greg was a passionate Detroit Red Wings and Ohio State University Buckeye fan. Greg was also an accomplished golfer and a lifelong race car enthusiast. Greg was the type of lawyer that we would all want to associate with. He treated everybody the same no matter what their life in life was. Greg was a thoughtful man who offered his views and suggestions freely in an effort to assist a person to make their own decisions and to allow that person to develop independence and confidence in their life. Greg made an effort to empower people. He was welcoming and always willing to share his thoughts and talents freely. Greg is survived by his wife of 53 years, Suzanne Dziegielewski. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted the committee.
James Paul Silk, Sr., born May 22nd, 1931, died October 23rd, 2023, admitted to the bar May 16th, 1962. James Paul Jim Silk was born in Toledo and attended Blessed Sacrament Grade School. He graduated from Central Catholic High School and then continued his studies at the University of Notre Dame, where he majored in history. The first time Jim ventured outside of Toledo was when he took the train to South Bend to begin his freshman year. After graduating from Notre Dame, Jim spent a year at Michigan Law School before entering the United States Army during the Korean War. Following his military service, Jim returned to Toledo and began working for First National Bank of Toledo in 1957. The same year, he enrolled in night school at the University of Toledo College of Law. Jim started his career in the bank's loan department. At the end of his 40-year career at the bank and its successor, Fifth Third Bank, Jim served in the dual role as head of the trust department and counsel for the bank. Following his retirement from the bank, Jim joined the law firm Spengler Nathanson in an of-counsel position. He spent 25 years with the firm before retiring. Jim's expertise in trust matters was well known in Toledo. He taught courses on trust matters and also served as an expert witness in cases involving trust issues. Jim's favorite memories of his career were his interactions with customers, clients, and other local attorneys. One constant refrain from Jim's coworkers at the bank and Spengler was his good nature, long chats, and his genuine interest in their lives. Marcia Manahan, who worked with Jim at the bank for 13 years, recalled that he let you do your job and never micromanaged. Jim's involvement in the Toledo Bar Association was significant. It began with his involvement in the Junior Bar Association and frequent appearances in the Gridiron Show. His lack of acting and singing ability provided no deterrence to his participation. That hits close to home. In addition to being president of the Toledo Bar Association, he also led and participated in many of the association's committees. He was particularly passionate about his involvement with the Toledo Law Association, of which he was president for several years. Jim was president of the association when the state legislature passed a bill making county law libraries government agencies. He was also president when the association trustees voted to give the University of Toledo funds to establish an endowed scholarship, which has been renamed in his honor. Jim's faith was a vital part of his life. He was a longtime member of Corpus Christi University Parish. He would frequently attend daily mass. His faith was evident in his treatment of others and his service to his community. Jim served on the boards of St. Vincent Hospital and Medical Association, the Toledo Humane Society, Siena Heights University, and the Sunset House. Jim's family took precedence with him above all else. He met his wife, Kathryn K. Croxon, in 1963 at a Toledo Ski Club meeting. At the time, Jim had never skied, but attended the meeting after being given the tip that Kay would be there. Although it is debatable whether Jim ever really enjoyed skiing, it is not debatable that his 60-year marriage with Kay was wonderful. Jim and Kay had 2 sons of whom Jim was immensely proud. Jim was very involved in their lives as a coach, fan, and as a friend. The positive influence he had on their lives cannot be overstated. Jim also loved and was proud of his 7 grandchildren. He was grateful that he had the opportunity to know them and be able to attend their sporting events, extracurriculars, and the annual spring break trip to Siesta Key. Jim enjoyed traveling and had the opportunity to visit several countries. Among the most memorable trips were the bike trips that he and Kay took with several other couples throughout Europe and the United States. Jim showed his love for Kay by never complaining about the frequent visits to museums that occurred on their trips. Those that knew Jim were aware of his love of reading. He would take a book everywhere. He would include kids' sporting events and doctor's appointments at times that he would carry that book. Jim was also an avid golfer and tennis player. Although he did enjoy the competition, it was the friendships that he developed which were more important to him. Jim truly was a man of faith. Every aspect of his life reflected this. His family and friends benefited from his generosity, good humor, and storytelling. He is survived by his loving wife of 60 years, Kay, sons Jim and Erica, John and Allison, and his grandchildren, Maeve, James, Jack, Kira, Liam, Colin, and Skylar. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. John Craig Turin, born July 13th, 1944, died October 25th, 2023. Admission to the bar, November 7th, 1970. John C. Turin was a lawyer who channeled his penchant for argument to the benefit of his clients. John was born to Gladys Johnson and John Joseph Turin. He was a graduate of Sylvania High School. He received his undergraduate degree in psychology from the University of Toledo. He continued at UT and obtained his Doctor of Jurisprudence. John was admitted to the bar in 1970 His father was dean of the UT Graduate School and director of the Ritter Astrophysical Research Center. Brains ran in the family. John was a prominent general practice lawyer in the Toledo area for many years. John's son said his father was a very straight shooter with people. If anybody thought they had something and they didn't, he would tell them. He was honest and hardworking and meticulous with what he did. John also served in the Air Force National Guard. He had friends everywhere and clients from every station and walk of life. In early life, John enjoyed bodybuilding and judo. As he matured, he became an avid skier, sailor, and sport shooter. John was a long-standing member of the Toledo Ski Club, North Cape Yacht Club, and the Adams Conservation Club. He was also an excellent cook who especially enjoyed his grill, even in driving snowstorms. Retired Judge Don Petroff first got to know Mr. Turin as a fellow lawyer. Judge Petroff recalled that John was very intelligent and was focused on whatever case he was working on. He was disciplined in his approach. Judge Petroff also remembered spirited political conversation between the judge, a Republican, and John, a Democrat. Both shared an interest in shooting sporting clays at Adams Conservation Club in Springfield Township. Judge Petroff described John as a fun guy to be around with an interesting sense of humor. He was a master of sarcasm and sometimes journeyed into off-color humor. As an example, he often jokingly repeated a quote from his former law partner and friend, Ed Van Gunten. He said, "Put me out for the unlimited pickup and throw a party for my friends." John retired from the practice of law 5 years ago. He remained active, working out at the gym 3 to 4 days per week. In fact, he was dressed in his workout clothes at the time of his death. John was a loyal spouse, caring father, and attentive and affectionate grandfather. John was predeceased by his wife of 48 years, Charlotte. John is survived by his son, John J. Turin, daughter Ashley, son-in-law Dan Dinan, and his grand-twins, Phelan and Nehemiah Dinan, sisters Talia Yates, Jennifer, and Beth Duryea, brother David Turin, and mother Sybil Turin. May he rest in peace. Respectfully, the committee. Karen A. Davis, born February 4th, 1964, died November 9th, 2023. Admitted to the bar November 12th, 2019. Karen Davis, a lifelong Toledoan, was born to parents Barbara and Michael Beckham. She graduated from Central Catholic High School in 1982 and went on to earn her bachelor's degree from the University of Toledo. Karen enjoyed many years of professional success before transitioning to the law. She worked as an esthetician at Bella Via Medical Spa, where she specialized in skin care. She worked in marketing at Hanson and finance at National City Bank. Then she changed course. Inspired by attorney Brian Stevenson, author of Just Mercy and founder of the Equal Justice Initiative, Karen went to law school at the age of 50. She attended the University of Toledo College of Law, where she continued to thrive. While in law school, she traveled to Guantanamo Bay, Cuba, as a human rights observer and became editor of the UT Law Review, among other things. After graduating cum laude, Karen worked for a time as a public defender before opening Davis, Breyer, and Keller, a practice devoted to estate planning. Karen also served the community, including through her time on the board of the Victory Center and as president of the Society of Plastic Surgical Skin Care Specialists. And Karen treasured her family. She is survived by the many who love her, including her husband, Brian, parents, Barbara and Michael, children, Hunter, Skylar, Tyson, Caitlin, and Kelsey, and siblings, Kelley, Matthew, and Tammy. Karen lived her life with passion, devoting herself to her family, to her clients, and to helping others. May she rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee.
James R. Jeffery, born June 20th, 1938. Passed away November 23, 2023. Admitted to the bar October 27, 1965. James R. Jeffery was known locally and statewide for his legal prowess and his upbeat personality. He was often described as the gregarious man with the white temples, which he likely had since he was 30. Jim spent his entire legal career, 55 years, with Spangler-Nathanson until his retirement in 2020. He was so much more than a highly successful trial attorney. He was a colleague, mentor, and friend to everyone associated with Spangler-Nathanson and throughout the legal community. His keen mind, positive attitude, and kindness to others were truly what made him unique. Jim was a proud alumnus of DeVilbiss High School, where he was an all-star and all-Ohio football player and member of the runner-up state championship team. Because his father was the clerk of courts, he would often go down to the court on Saturday mornings during high school, and it was during these visits that his interest in the court system was sparked. Following high school graduation, he attended The Ohio State University, receiving a Bachelor of Arts degree in English Speech in 1960, and was also a member of the OSU debate team. He was a member of Sigma Chi fraternity and served as chapter president. Jim was a very proud Buckeye. Upon returning to Toledo, he initially taught English composition before deciding to attend law school at the University of Toledo in the evenings. Jim worked as a clerk and runner for Fuller, Henry, Hodge, and Snyder while attending law school. He graduated with his JD in 1965, and his first job was with Spangler-Nathanson, where he remained for his entire 55-year career. Jim recognized that law school really wasn't designed to teach a person how to practice law. Thus, he often expressed that he was very indebted to Ben Durfee, who mentored him and helped to establish him as a trial attorney. Jim passed it on and proceeded to mentor every litigator and even a few non-litigators at Spangler-Nathanson. He always took time to explain what to do or how it could be done better. He never ever got mad when mistakes were made. Without a trace of frustration, Jim would graciously help a young attorney to learn rather than find fault. And when he marked, rewrote, or reworked a draft brief, he always found something good to say about it, even when there were more red revisions than black typing on the page. Jim was born for the profession. He had the uncanny ability to size up the facts and get to the core of the matter quickly and without distraction. He could make a complex matter make perfect sense with far fewer words than most, and he could do this when writing, arguing before a judge, and talking before a jury. No matter who was the audience, Jim presented information in a common-sense manner and with extraordinary grace. For example, at a jury trial in Erie County, Jim was approaching a witness and he stumbled over his own feet. Many lawyers would have been embarrassed, but Jim took it in stride, smiled calmly at the jury, and said, "There are obstacles everywhere in life." And then he went on to perfectly examine the witness. He often had the jury in the palm of his hand, not in a manipulative way, but in a way in which they felt as though they could relate to him because of his communication style, humility, and honesty. No matter how high the stakes, no matter how important the client, professional integrity came first for Jim, without fear of consequences. For example, in the early 90s, he assigned a new client matter to a young female attorney. This attorney took the case through to a jury trial and received a defense verdict, a victory for the client. Despite the successful result, the client was upset that Jim had not tried the case himself and instead allowed the young female attorney to try the case. Jim did not waver from his decision and told the client that if they wanted Spangler-Nathanson to litigate their cases, then they would have to get used to the young female attorney trying their cases. The former client chose not to send any more cases to the firm, but Jim didn't lose any sleep because he knew he had done the right thing. He was a gleaming example of how practicing law can be done the right and honorable way. Jim was also a big believer in lawyers being actively involved in community endeavors. His community activities included Boys and Girls Club of Toledo, Sylvania Township Board of Zoning Appeals, Boy Scouts of America, March of Dimes, and Rotary Club of Toledo. The legal profession recognized his significant contributions to the profession by electing him as the TBA president in 1985 to 1986, and then 10 years later electing him as the Ohio State Bar Association president from 1995 to 96. And in 2004, Jim received the Distinguished Toledo Lawyer Award from the UT Alumni Law Association. Jim was known for his love of athletics. It all began at McKinley Elementary School and transferred to winning football years at DeVilbiss. Jim was recognized his senior year as one of 4 Toledo football players to play in the Ohio North-South All-Star Game. He was named to the DeVilbiss Hall of Fame for his outstanding contribution as an athlete, and he remained active, playing tennis at Inverness and squash at the Toledo Club. As a squash player, he was competitive but fair, winning the annual Sportsmanship Award in the 2018 80 Years and Older tournament. Jim enjoyed all the antics and athletics of his 3 children and his 9 grandchildren. Whether serving as a coach or cheering from the sidelines, Jim was a wise and patient counselor. Jim and his wife Chris, married for 57 years, shared in all the exploits, adventures, and vacations of a warm and loving family. Jim is survived by his wife Kristen, son Tom, daughter Jill, son-in-law Ned, grandchildren Brooke, Mason, Tyler, Billy, Kenny, Cole, Jack, Reed, and Eden, and niece Kim. Jim's legal career and life was unsullied, untarnished, and undiminished by regret. He made the legal profession, the firm of Spangler Nathanson, and the Toledo area community immeasurably better because of how he lived his life as a lawyer. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Ronald J. Tice, born March 14, 1947, passed away November 24, 2023, admitted to the bar November 3, 1973. Ronald J. Tice, devoted husband, father, grandfather, and universally respected business lawyer, passed away on November 24, 2023 at the age of 76. Ron was born in Toledo, Ohio to Harry and Ruth Tice, longtime West Toledo residents. He was the middle of 3 sons, including older brother Tom and younger brother Bob. Ron played football and basketball at Start High School, graduating in 1965. He received football and academic scholarships to the University of Vermont, where he excelled both in the classroom and on the field. Ron was a member of Sigma Nu fraternity and served as the chapter's commander during his senior year. He met many lifelong friends, some who would later become clients, during his 4 years at UVM. In the summer of 1966, after his first year at UVM, Ron met Mary Lynn Wilhelm, and the two instantly became inseparable. They married in 1969 and were later blessed with 2 children, Ryan and Aaron. Ron and Mary celebrated their 54th wedding anniversary on May 30th, 2023. After college, Ron returned to his alma mater, Start High School, where for a year he taught special education classes and coached the junior varsity football team. Ron later attended law school at the University of Toledo, graduating in 1973 as the class valedictorian. He started his legal career at Barrett, Geddes, and Tice in the Spitzer building, where he specialized in employee benefits and employment law. In those instances when Ron appeared in federal court, Senior Federal Judge James Carr recalls that Ron was always well prepared, with a mastery of the subject matter, presenting his clients' arguments in a calm, soft-spoken, but confident and effective manner. According to Judge Carr, Ron was a good advocate for his clients. In 1976, Ron joined the legal team at Marathon Oil Company in Findlay, Ohio. His career at Marathon took Ron, Mary, and their young family to several locations across the country, including a tenure in Washington, D.C., where he and Mary were guests at President Ronald Reagan's first inaugural ball. As much as Ron enjoyed his work at Marathon and the many friends he met while working there, he and his family had a desire to return to Toledo. So he joined Eastman & Smith, specializing in business and transactional law, and soon began representing a large client base of local and multinational companies. In addition to his many clients, Ron was also counsel to his wife's family business, Helm Instrument Company, a leading designer and manufacturer of process control systems. Throughout his career, Ron was involved in many multi-million-dollar transactions, and according to Joe Napoli, president of the Mud Hens and Walleye organizations, he played a large role in making Fifth Third Field, Huntington Center, and Hensville part of the community's landscape today. In addition to leading the business section of Eastman & Smith, Ron also served as the firm's managing partner during several economically challenged years. He retired in 2022, having trained countless lawyers on all matters of business law and leaving a legacy of excellence and selfless dedication to client service. He was a member of the Toledo and Ohio State Bar Associations for 50 years and was several times selected by Best Lawyers as Lawyer of the Year for his business law acumen. Ron's interests extended beyond the law. He loved to fish and to hunt, but was also a voracious reader, often finishing several books in a week. A self-taught gourmet chef, He read cookbooks as if they were novels and created amazing dishes after a single reading of their ingredients. He loved to host dinner parties, always creating something extraordinary for his guests. Ron and Mary have been longtime residents and members of Stone Oak Country Club, where Ron served on the club's executive board for several years. They enjoyed golfing together and made many special and lasting friends at Stone Oak. They were avid travelers and particularly loved Florence, Italy, Cayman Island, and Palm Springs, California. But Ron's favorite trips always involved visiting his children and grandchildren wherever they were living. Ron is survived by his wife Mary, daughter Erin, and several grandchildren, son Ryan, nieces and nephews, as well as many friends, clients, and business colleagues. Ron Tice was a man of many distinctions: lawyer, counselor, mentor, friend, consummate host, world traveler, chef extraordinaire. The list goes on. The world today is different without him, but those who knew Ron, clients and friends alike, were better for the experience. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Russel E. Shaffer, born July 23, 1945, passed away December 25, 2023, admitted to the bar November 4, 1972. To a brighter light, to a promised land, you can feel the power of the Master's hand. Bob Seger. Russel, or Russ, Edwin Shaffer, passed away shortly after midnight on Christmas Day, December 25, 2023, at Hospice of Northwest Ohio, after a year-long battle with acute myeloid leukemia. Russ was born in Lake Forest, Illinois, where his father, Dr. Russel Shaffer, was a dentist in the U.S. Navy. The family returned to Toledo, where Russ attended Blessed Sacrament Elementary School and Central Catholic High School. He went on to attend and graduate from Marquette University in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, where he met his wife Carol in 1963. Shortly after graduating from Marquette, the couple married in Pennsylvania and set up roots in Toledo, raising their 3 daughters in the same house on Bowen Road in which he had grown up. After graduating from the College of Law at the University of Toledo, Russ worked as a practicing attorney in Toledo until the time of his death. Russ served as an assistant public defender for the Toledo Legal Aid Society and Toledo Municipal Court for many years. He maintained his private practice office with Legal Associates, where he served as president for many years. He served in both roles with diligence and honor and was greatly respected by both his clients and the bench and the bar. Having been diagnosed with AML in December of 2022, Russ fought a courageous battle determined not to let this disease get him down. Russ was happiest when spending time with his family. He especially enjoyed his time in Sarasota, Florida, where he owned a home for the past 4 years. He was an enthusiastic Bob Seger, Green Bay Packers, and Marquette Warriors fan. Christmas Eve was his favorite holiday, and it will not be the same without him. While those who loved him will miss him dearly, they are comforted by the many years of memories he created with them. Russ is survived by his loving wife of 56 years, Carol, daughters Laura, Lisa, and Elizabeth, and 9 granddaughters. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee.
Joseph W. Westmeyer, born February 22, 1941, died December 26, 2023, admitted to the bar October 19, 1966. Joseph Westmeyer Jr. was born to parents Joseph and Rita in Toledo, Ohio, and grew up with 3 brothers, including his twin brother Dick. Joe attended elementary school in the south end of Toledo at St. James Elementary. He later attended St. Francis de Sales High School, where he was part of the school's first 4-year graduating class in 1959. After earning his undergraduate degree at Xavier University, Joe attended the University of Toledo College of Law and graduated with his JD in 1966. His schooling complete, Joe entered the practice of law. He enjoyed a long practice, 51 years, serving multitudes of clients, and he remained a tireless fan of Xavier basketball and the University of Michigan football throughout. Joe also served his community as a member of the downtown Toledo Kiwanis Club. Notably, he served a number of years as the club's chairman for the Terrific Kids program, a program that works to help elementary school children through motivation, encouragement, and recognition. Joe also attended Immaculate Conception Parish. Joe is survived by those he loved and who loved him, including his wife of 60 years, Judith, children Julie, Jean, and Joseph III, and 7 grandchildren. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Kathryn Shelley Molaro, born November 7th, 1967, died December 31st, 2023, admitted to the bar November 8th, 1993. Shelly was born in Pensacola, Florida, the daughter of Brian and Susan Ashley Cross. She attended Springfield High School in Holland, Ohio, and graduated with the class of 1986. Shelly went on to earn her bachelor's degree in political science from Muskegon University and her Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Toledo. She worked first as a civil bailiff in the Common Pleas Court under the Honorable Richard W. Knepper, then as a law clerk under Judge Knepper in the Court of Appeals. Judge Knepper and Judge Handwerk for many years were the judges that she worked for in the Court of Appeals. Shelley was a fervent proponent of the law and a strong believer in the application of the law equally to all. Her sense of justice for all was unmatched by anyone. Shelley's time at the Court of Appeals was her most memorable and rewarding period of her professional career. Her time at the court was cut short by a leukemia diagnosis in 2010. Shelley was a member of the Light of Christ Parish, St. Peter's Catholic Church in Blissfield, where she sang in the choir. Shelley found opportunities to be involved with the fine arts. For many years, Shelley and her mother belonged to the Berkshire Choral Society and the Toledo Choral Society. If her children were involved in a school play or musical, Shelley would volunteer to help with the setter costumes, where her sewing skills were put to good use in costume designing. Shelley was a Girl Scout leader when her children were young. In addition to her husband Sam, she is survived by her mother, 2 daughters, and 2 stepdaughters, and 2 grandchildren. May she rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Thomas J. Szyperski, born September 8, 1942, died January 5, 2024, admitted to the bar May 2, 1970. Tom Szyperski, age 81, passed away peacefully at home after a short illness, surrounded by his 4 children. He was born to Harry and Hattie Szyperski in Toledo, Ohio. He attended Central Catholic High School and the University of Toledo before graduating from the University of Toledo Law School. Tom's law career was focused on criminal defense, and he served as a public defender as well as having a private practice. As somebody who always rooted for the underdog and a firm believer in second chances, Tom excelled in his field. Never one to turn a blind eye to the inequities in our society, Tom spent his career applying a sharp mind towards leveling the playing field. Tom was an Atticus Finch to his children and a respected member of the Toledo Bar Association, who retired to care for his wife and spend as much time with her as possible. Tom and his wife Yvonne met on a blind date and built a beautiful life together, supporting their children, traveling and working in their yard. As a father, Tom took enormous pride in his children and always celebrated their individuality. While he was always an influence, he staunchly supported differing views. One example was the Sunday morning family tradition of listening to Jesus Christ Superstar rather than going to church. He didn't believe in coddling his children or hiding his flaws, but he also never judged them for their flaws, and they forever knew that he was in their corner. In a world where people like to advance their agendas, Tom was a rare person who truly wanted his children to believe what they believed and love who they loved. Affectionately known as Papa Tom to his 10 grandchildren, Tom took great pleasure in afternoons around the pool, yearly family trips to Saugatuck, and attending their numerous games, plays, recitals, and extracurricular pursuits. They will cherish the memory of his pep talks, tough love, authenticity, and questionable culinary choices. Tom was uncompromising in his principles and stubborn until a bitter end. No level of the success overshadowed his core identity as a Polish kid from Burton Avenue, and his lifelong friendships are a testament to that fact. He was brilliant, funny, and effortlessly cool. He was preceded in death by his parents, Harry and Hattie Szyperski, and his wife of 53 years, Yvonne. He is survived by his children, Paul, Kathryn, Elizabeth, and Joseph, and 10 grandchildren. His devoted sister Mary Frances Baumker, cherished friend and colleague George Gussis, and countless friends and extended family members. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted to the committee.
Robert Doty, born March 22nd, 1965, died January 7th, 2024, admitted to the bar November 5th, 1990. Bob was born in Marion, Ohio, to Carl and Shirley Doty. He was the youngest of 5 children. He graduated from Marion Catholic High School in 1983, where he lettered in football, basketball, and track. In 1987, Bob graduated with his Bachelor of Science degree in political science from the University of Dayton. He earned his law degree from the University of Toledo in 1990, which is where he met his wife, Beverly Cox. Bob and Beverly celebrated their 30th wedding anniversary in 2023. Together, they raised 2 children, Jake and Morgan. Bob's family was the center of his life. He coached his children in soccer and softball and was ever present, whether it was cheering loudly at every school or extracurricular event or playing kickball with the neighborhood kids. Bob began his legal career in Columbus in 1990 under Ohio Attorney General Anthony Celebrezzi Jr. in what would later become the Revenue Recovery Section of the Attorney General's office. Later that year, he participated in the election recount when his new boss, Lee Fisher, won by only 1,234 votes. Bob transferred to the Toledo office of the Ohio AG in 1993. In 94, he left the Attorney General's office to sample private practice, working with various attorneys in the Toledo area. His favorite, however, was his wife, with whom he founded the partnership of Cox and Doty in 1995. Around that time, he also began working part-time as a staff attorney for the University of Toledo Student Legal Services. In 1997, Bob left private practice and became a full-time part of Student Legal Services. Bob found a great deal of joy and satisfaction assisting the students with their legal issues. In 2008, Bob returned to the Revenue Recovery Section of the Ohio Attorney General's office, where he worked until his passing. One of his most memorable experiences was representing the state of Ohio in collecting from the estate of an accused serial rapist, Billy Milligan, the first person to use dissociative identity disorder in an insanity defense. In addition to his daily work duties, Bob volunteered at the University of Toledo, conducting mock interviews and, along with attorney Sue Sharkey, coaching several UT College of Law mock trial teams. Bob was a very large presence, but was always humble about his accomplishments. In 2022, he was recognized by Dave Yost during an office-wide meeting for his contributions to the Attorney General's office that went above and beyond his job description. He also received accolades from professional organizations and local judges, many of which he did not even tell his wife about. Bob made friends wherever he went, except perhaps on the softball diamond during his many years playing in the Lawyers League. He was a big kid at heart. He will be remembered for his voracious laugh and being an all-around good guy. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. J.P. Smith, born January 20th, 1951, died January 13th, 2024. Admitted to the bar May 12, 1997. John Putnam J.P. Smith was born in Toledo to the late Kenneth and Anna Smith. J.P. attended Start High School, where he graduated in 1968. He proudly served in the Coast Guard Reserve, retiring as lieutenant commander. He also retired as sergeant at the Toledo Police Department, where he was dedicated, hardworking, and respected. J.P. obtained his bachelor's degree from the University of Toledo. Before he retired from the police department, he enrolled in the night division of the UT College of Law. J.P. secured his J.D. in 1998. After passing the bar, he worked as a general practice attorney for the next 25 years. He was a traditional neighborhood lawyer. The word no was not in his vocabulary. He willingly helped anyone who needed legal assistance, no matter how large or how small. A man of faith, J.P. was a listening and active member of Aldersgate United Methodist Church. His faith was very important to him in all aspects of his day-to-day life. He also offered his vocal talents as a member of the Aldersgate Choir. J.P. was an avid collector of many things: model trains, train photos, stamps, and cars. He loved golf and spent years in the Aldersgate Golf League, routinely challenging Jim Goranson for the shortest drive. Besides golf and Aldersgate, J.P. was devoted to his family. The time spent with J.P. and his memories that resulted will forever be missed by his loved ones. Pardon me. Above all, J.P.'s infectious smile will forever be missed by those who knew him. He is survived by the love of his life, Diane Smith, whom he married on May 6, 1983. His children, Lori and Jody, Jen and Mike Murphy, Rob and Alicia, and Brian and Lisa. 8 grandchildren, 5 great-grandchildren, Sister Mary and Terry Zeitner, brothers-in-law, David and Cheryl Reisner, Alan and Lisa Reisner, and Tom Fuller, and many nieces and nephews. In addition to his parents, J.P. has been reunited with his sister, Dorothy McCarthy. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. John F. Hayward, born November 3, 1937, died January 27, 2024. Admitted to the bar May 11, 1966. John Franklin Hayward was born to Franklin and Anna Mae Shea Hayward in Toledo, the eldest of 4 children. He was a lifelong Toledoan and a recognized leader in our legal and health care and educational community. John grew up in Toledo's Old West End. He attended Rosary Cathedral Grade School. At Central Catholic High School, he won the National Oratorical Contest sponsored by the Sons of the American Revolution, and he was senior class president. He attended the University of Notre Dame on an N. Rotzi scholarship, where he was a member of the Blue Circle Honor Society, winner of the Notre Dame Dome Award, and again served as senior class president. He met his wife of 41 years, Mary Beth Ludwig, at Notre Dame. She predeceased him in January 2004. Upon graduation at Notre Dame, he was commissioned as a naval officer and served on active duty with the Navy aboard the USS Independence as a navigator. Upon completion of his Navy service, John attended and graduated from Georgetown University Law Center. He received the highest grade on the 1966 Ohio Bar Examination, and he then practiced labor and trial law with his father and as an assistant Lucas County prosecutor. He was special counsel to Ohio Attorney General William J. Brown in 1971 for the Kent State University criminal cases. John became one of the founding members of the firm of Hayward, Cooper, Straub, Walensky, and Kramer, where he practiced until 1981 when he joined the firm of Shoemaker, Loop, and Kendrick, where he specialized in healthcare law. John retired from the practice of law in 2005, joking that he was a recovering attorney, to become the president of the Mercy College of Ohio. He had been closely involved with the former Mercy School of Nursing for 40 years, as its legal counsel, as a board member, and ultimately as chairman of the board. Under his astute leadership, Mercy College expanded its academic offerings, doubled in physical space, invested $2 million in improving the physical plant, and established a Mercy College Foundation. John retired from Mercy College in 2014. John had an extensive legacy of community service, including leading the board of the Toledo-Lucas County Public Library. He was a devoted leader among legal groups, serving the Toledo Bar Association as its president in 1992. John also served on the Council of Delegates and Board of Governors of the Ohio State Bar Association and as a fellow of their foundation on its board from 1991 to 1999 and as its president in 1997. John served as a diocesan legal counsel to the Catholic Diocese of Toledo and as general counsel to the Ohio Catholic Conference. John was a mentor to many and a friend to all. His wise counsel was sought in the legal and political arenas. He was a confidant to many local leaders and highly respected by both the bench and the bar. John served too many community, parish, and religious groups to mention. He was a quintessential gentleman, a trusted advisor, and a cordial companion. John loved his family, Notre Dame, and the law. He was both a bibliophile and logophile with an encyclopedic knowledge, but he never flaunted it. You always wanted to be on John's side in a game of Trivial Pursuits or any other parlor game. At family dinners, he would often ask those in attendance to proffer a new vocabulary word, engage in a spelling contest, or both. But John never took himself or things too seriously. He was known for his wry sense of humor. Quoting Tom Waits, he would say, "I'd rather have a bottle in front of me than a frontal lobotomy." John and his family enjoyed spending their summers in the Lake Erie Cottage in LaSalle, Michigan. They also spent many pleasant summer trips to the Shakespeare festivals at Stratford and to diocesan attorney conferences. John is survived by his beloved wife, Jeannie Buggard Hayward, whom he married in 2005, and by his sisters, Christy Brewer, Sally, and Charles Marlowe, brother Richard and Patricia, and his children, John P. and Patricia, Thomas, Tom Wright, Bridget, John, Cale, and Ethan Melinda Hayward. He further leaves 4 stepchildren, 10 grandchildren, 13 step-grandchildren, and numerous nieces and nephews. He was also predeceased by his parents and a daughter, Elizabeth Hayward Boniface. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee.
Richard L. Sanders, born June 21st, 1951, died February 18th, 2024, admitted to the bar November 6th, 1981. Rick was born in Elmira, New York, to Paul and Nancy Sanders. He had an older sister, Marcia, who now resides in Safety Harbor, Florida. Rick moved to the Cleveland, Ohio area in 1957 when his father, who worked for International Harvester, was transferred. He graduated from Fairview Park High School in 1969, where he lettered in football and basketball. He was named first team all-conference in basketball and received several offers of scholarships to continue playing in college from various Division II schools. Rick decided against that route and instead continued his education at Bowling Green State University, where he became a member and president of Theta Chi fraternity. While at Bowling Green, Rick met his wife Debbie, who he married on April 27, 1974. Rick and Debbie were closing in on their 50th wedding anniversary this year when Rick passed away. Together they raised 3 children, Taylor, Zach, and Max, who were the center of Rick's life. He coached the children on their various sports teams throughout their lives and was ever present with their many school activities. Following Rick's graduation from Bowling Green State University, he and Debbie moved to Tampa, Florida, where he took a position with Penn Mutual Insurance Company. After a 2-year period of living in Tampa, they moved to Indianapolis for 1 year before relocating to Columbus, Ohio, where Rick took a job with Oscar Mayer as a food sales representative. It was while living in Columbus that Rick decided to return to school to become an attorney. Rick received his Juris Doctorate degree from the University of Toledo College of Law in 1981, and after graduating, he went to work for the Lucas County Public Defender's Office, where he'd interned during law school. He spent his career advocating for the rights of the accused, a class of citizens that he felt were often overlooked. He continued his criminal defense practice and worked for the Public Defender's Office for over 40 years, and loved his job and the many judges and staff he became dear friends with over the years. Rick's favorite pastime was golfing with friends, and he was a very talented golfer, often shooting in the 70s. He made many trips with friends to various golf locations over the years, but a particular highlight was the trip to play Pebble Beach with his father-in-law in 1982. Rick had a big heart and a quiet humility regarding his legal work. He had a good reputation with the judges who knew if he vouched for somebody, they could count on his opinion. Rick had many friends throughout the legal community, as well as from his kids' various school activities. He was an avid Cleveland sports fan and Buckeye supporter. He will be remembered as being an all-round good guy and a very good defense attorney who truly cared about the clients he represented. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Sandra Westfall, born June 3rd, 1956, died February 20th, 2024, admitted to the bar November 9th, 1998. Sandy, a beacon of compassion and fierce strength, gently passed away after a brief battle with pancreatic cancer, leaving behind a legacy of kindness, generosity, and unwavering love. Sandy began her career as a licensed practical nurse, demonstrating her commitment to caring for others and making a positive impact on those in need. Over time, she furthered her education and became a registered nurse, expanding her skills and knowledge to better serve her patients with compassion and expertise. In her final careers, Sandy pursued a new path as an attorney, using her legal acumen towards advocacy, embodying her lifelong dedication to helping others in a different capacity. Sandy graduated from what was then Sylvania High School in 1974 and went on to receive her RN certificate and Juris Doctor degree from the University of Toledo. Ms. Westfall attended Compelled Church in Temperance, Michigan. She is survived by 2 sisters and 1 brother. In her later years, Sandy's focus shifted to caregiving towards her parents, Bill and Ann Liggett, embodying the same selfless and unwavering commitment that had defined her life's work. Sandy found her partner and love of her life, Chris, who stood by her side with unwavering loyalty and devotion until her passing. Their love was a testament to the enduring power of companionship and support, providing Sandy with strength and comfort during her most challenging days. Throughout her life, every family member relied on Sandy for some sort of guidance, medical advice, financial assistance, or legal services. Sandy was a trusted source of wisdom, comfort, and support for her loved ones, always ready to lend a listening ear, offer sound advice, and provide expert care. The family turned to her in times of joy, sorrow, and distress, knowing that Sandy would always be there to offer resolution. Sandy leaves behind an impact on the hearts of many, a testament to a life well lived in the service of others. Her legacy of love, service, and devotion will forever be cherished and remembered by all who were touched by her kindness and generosity. May she rest in peace. Respectfully submitted to the committee.
Nirakar C. Thakur, born May 31st, 1960, passed away February 26, 2024, admitted to the bar November 13th, 1995. Nick was born to parents Nirakar and Patricia in Pontiac, Michigan. He graduated from Barger High School before matriculating to the University of Toledo, where he obtained a Bachelor of Arts degree in 1990, followed by an MBA in 1992. Nick continued his education at the University of Toledo College of Law, graduating in 1995 with his JD. He worked at Eastman & Smith and at the City of Toledo. Nick ultimately established his own practice, specializing in estate planning, trust, and probate law. He was board certified by the OSBA in these areas and was a fellow of the American College of Trust and Estate Council. Nick was also a member of the Special Needs Alliance and helped families with special needs children. He was a valued source of information for the disability community. Nick was described by colleagues as a tireless advocate for his clients, rich or poor. One colleague recalled a story which summed up the dedication Nick had to his clients. A few days before his passing, Nick participated in a court hearing by telephone. Despite being in the hospital, Nick insisted on participating telephonically to ensure his clients were represented. Nick respected the legal system, and his professionalism extended not only to his colleagues, but to court staff as well. He generally had a smile on his face, greeted everyone by their name, and was courteous to all. His sense of humor was infectious, as was his laugh. His colleagues and clients saw him not only as a fine lawyer, but someone who treasured his family. Nick married Tara in 1985, and together they welcomed 4 children. Nick loved and was proud of his entire family. He was, by all accounts, a loving husband, father, grandfather, uncle, world traveler, diverse thinker, and a friend. And he made sure to tell all he encountered how lucky he was to have such a fabulous family. Nick is survived by his wife Tara, children Melissa, Donovan, Nirakar III, and Austin, as well as grandchildren Lillian, David, and Hazel. May his memory be a blessing, and may he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Kathryn J. Woodward, born September 26, 1947, passed away February 27, 2024, admitted to the bar May 11, 1987. Kathy Woodward passed away after a long, bravely fought battle with recurring cancer. She left a legacy of personal and professional brilliance and kindness that will continue to be a special part of the lives of all who knew her and all those who had the joy of working with her. Kathy was a 1965 graduate of Rossford High School. She then attended the University of Strasbourg, France, obtained a Bachelor of Arts from Otterbein College, a Master of Arts from Bowling Green State University, a paralegal degree from the Philadelphia Institute, and ultimately a law degree from the University of Toledo, while working full-time as a paralegal at the law firm of Shoemaker Loop and Kendrick LLP. She started her career as a teacher at William Henry Harrison High School and then moved to Rossford High School, teaching French and English. Subsequently, she transitioned into a paralegal career. She thereafter decided to attend the University of Toledo Law School, graduating and passing the Ohio Bar in 1987. Kathy joined the Trust and Estates Department at Shoemaker Loop and Kendrick and commenced an impressive 35-year legal career that made a difference in so many lives. She was an incredible speaker and traveled throughout the state sharing her wit, wisdom, and technical knowledge, always with a great sense of humor and an amazing ability to identify with her listeners. She was proud of her close association with Toledo Christian School. Professionally, she dedicated a great portion of her time assisting the school as school board chairman and as a member of the school's foundation board. Kathy and her husband Mark were dedicated cheerleaders for the school sports teams, attending every game and every event possible. Kathy as official statistician and Mark as official team photographer. With unlimited energy and a passion and love of storytelling, Kathy captivated both young and old with stories that stretched their imaginations and encouraged a deeper faith and love for all. Kathy was married to her devoted and loving husband Mark for nearly 55 years. They found great joy in the outdoors, and particularly their travels to a home in the Michigan Upper Peninsula, as well as her world travels that centered in Ireland, where she was able to connect with her original Irish roots. In her son Ian, daughter-in-law Bethany, and grandchild Kimber Rose, who arrived 5.5 months before her passing, Kathy found the ultimate purpose and joy in life. Kathy will be greatly missed by all who knew her, and will always be greatly loved by all she touched in such a kind and caring way. As one of the members of the Trust and Estates Department said, simply, she was a ray of sunshine every single day for all who knew her and came into contact with her. May she rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee.
Honorable Charles F. Kurfess, born February 1st, 1930, died March 1st, 2024. Admission to the bar, April 23rd, 1958. Charles F. Kurfess was born to John F. and Margaret Zing Kurfess and was raised in Perrysburg Township. He graduated from Troy Lucky High School and went on to receive a bachelor's degree from Bowling Green State University, where he was a member of the Phi Kappa Tau fraternity. He completed graduate work at Wayne State University and received his Juris Doctorate from the Ohio State University. As a law student at the Ohio State University, Chuck was elected to the House of Representatives in Ohio. From 1956 to 1978, he would represent parts of northwestern Ohio in the House. For much of his tenure, Chuck would serve as the ranking Republican, holding the title of Speaker of the House or Minority Leader. He would also serve on the governing board of the Executive Committee of the Council of State Governments, an appointment by Presidents Nixon and Ford. Chuck also maintained a law firm in Bowling Green for over 30 years. Following his retirement from the House, he was elected to 2 terms as a judge in the Wood County Common Pleas Court. After his retirement from that position, he continued to serve Northwest Ohio as a visiting judge into his 80s. Awards recognizing his distinction in public service include the Bowling Green State University Outstanding Alumnus, Bowling Green State University Centennial Alumni Award, the Ohio State University Alumni Archie M. Griffin Professional Achievement Award, Thomas J. Moyer Award for Judicial Excellence, and the Eastwood Alumni Hall of Fame. Chuck also served on various committees and task forces for the Ohio Judicial Conference, the Ohio Supreme Court, and Ohio Constitutional Modernization Commission. Judge Kurfess was a founding member of the National Council of State Legislatures and vice president and president of the organization. Chuck served in the U.S. Army Counterintelligence Corps during the Korean War. Chuck was a lifelong member of St. John's Lutheran Church in Stony Ridge and served the congregation in many leadership roles. The greatest roles in the life of Chuck Kurfess were those he held in his family. A true patriarch, as husband of 67 years to his wife, the former Helen Rudolph, father to children Todd and Cheryl Kurfess, Ann and Warren Hale, and Laura and Richard Hirschfeld, 5 grandchildren and 9 great-grandchildren, and sibling to his sister, Dr. Nancy Johnson. Preceding him in death were his parents, brothers, John and James, and great-granddaughter, Libby Rose. Judge Kurfess passed away peacefully at home. He was a man of outstanding integrity, and he was truly an ornament to our profession. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Matthew K. Uvagi, born January 9th, 1975, died March 30th, 2024. Admitted to the bar November 20th, 2000. Matt was a good man who carried himself with a quiet dignity. He was kind in word and manner and had an easygoing personality. As an attorney for the city of Toledo, he had the difficult job of collecting delinquent income taxes. People often were not happy when Matt met them at the courthouse or spoke with them on the phone, but because he treated them with respect and courtesy, they at least felt heard, and he often was able to help them navigate a difficult situation. He was a respected and well-liked member of the city law department. He got along well with his colleagues, and he was always willing to try and solve a tricky legal matter. Because Matt was so quiet around the department, most of his fellow attorneys had no idea that he had a background of performing in many school plays at St. Francis de Sales High School, that he liked to stage comedy skits for his family, and had a love of music. He was a talented musician and singer and played with several local bands. Matt met his wife Melanie, the city's finance director, in 2004 at the office. Married in 2017, they enjoyed many years sharing good meals and conversations at local restaurants and attending concerts by their favorite bands. Matt loved to read history and was proud of being a Hungarian American. He spent time at the Hungarian Club of Toledo and liked cooking Hungarian meals. In addition to Melanie, Matt is survived by his parents, Charles and Diana, and his brother, Stephen. He will be missed. May he rest in peace. Respectfully submitted, the committee. Your Honor, the roll is now complete. I therefore move this honorable court to accept these statements and remarks and to spread them upon the permanent record of the court.
Thank you, Mr. Coble. It is so ordered. Thank you, and I also thank Mr. Meyer and Ms. Beach. Now that the roll has been read and entered into the permanent record of the court, may we continue to honor the names and personal and professional lives of those we recall today. And if I may be so bold, I would also offer a prayer inviting all to join with me. Eternal rest grant unto them, O Lord, and may perpetual light shine upon them. May their souls and the souls of all the faithful departed through the mercy of God rest in peace. As we conclude, I would invite all to attend the reception immediately following at Ice Restaurant. This special session of the court is now adjourned. Mr. Coble.
All rise.